Hello lovely people, so I've decided to do a very ruthless declutter of my eyeshadow palette because yesterday it all of a sudden dawned on me that I am never going to forgive Kat Von D and I need to get rid of her palettes. So this prompted this whole, I want to do a declutter of my eyeshadow palettes, and what a better way than to do it together. I know these videos are always really appreciated and really fun for me to watch, for other people to watch, so let's just go ahead and do it together. I'm going to start off by saying I'm not going to declutter any of my Pasmograd palettes, which is why I'm not even going to show you my Mothership palettes, which is why I'm also going to start with this little storage unit over here where I have some of my Opulence collection and the La Vie en Rose palette. None of these are going, these are all staying. So let's see what else we have here. We also have the Juvia's Place Magic palette. This is probably also the place to say I'm not going to declutter any of my Juvia's Place palettes either, because I absolutely love them. This in particular was my very first Juvia's Place palette and I absolutely love it, but she's not going anywhere. We also have the Nabla So Blooming palette here. She's also staying, not going anywhere. Like I said, my Juvia's Place palette, so this is the Tribe, Afrique, Saharan 2, Deuce, Nubian 2, they're all staying, I love them. This guy here is the Good Sport from Colourpop, which for now I'm going to keep, although she might not survive the next declutter. But for now she's gonna stay, so I'm gonna put her back right here. And then what else do we have? I have some palettes here with singles from Inglot. I have recently decluttered my singles, so I'm not even going to go through these because I know that I'm keeping all of these. This is my Zuri Cosmetics Zuri palette, which I absolutely love. This company unfortunately seems to not exist anymore, but this is one of my favorite summer eyeshadow palettes. I absolutely love the quality, the color story, everything about this palette, so she's staying. And now let's come to the elephant in the room, the Saint and Sinner palette from Kat Von D. The year this came out, it was the eyeshadow palette of the year for me. She was my favorite, I absolutely loved her, and I feel really sad to have to part with this eyeshadow palette, but at the same time I haven't touched her. In the past year I haven't even opened this eyeshadow palette, so I don't think there's any point for me to keep it, so I'm going to declutter it. This eyeshadow palette needs to go because the day that I'm going to forgive Kat Von D and go back into my Kat Von D palettes apparently isn't going to come. If it didn't come for a full year, it's not gonna come anytime soon. So, Saint and Sinner's gotta go. I think this one will be fairly easy to go through as well. Paleo palette from Cliona Cosmetics, definitely staying. I really like this palette. I don't use it much, but when I do use it, I do actually enjoy it. So she's definitely staying. The Prism palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, I recently talked about this palette. She's a little bit on the question mark side, but I will keep her for now because of that one purple shade called Dimension. The two palettes from Anastasia that I'm definitely not getting rid of are the original Norvina and Subculture, because I absolutely love both of these. I still use them. Next up we have the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics Holy Glow Fantasy palette, which has these four highlighter shades. For me they're not highlighter shades, but I do like using them as inner corner highlights or little details and pops of color here and there. I must be honest with you, this is the color that I like the most from this palette, so I'm actually going to think about what I will do with it, because I might depot the colors that I don't use. They're very easy to depot, and just pop other eyeshadows in here that I do prefer to use. The only problem is the size of these is quite big and I don't have this many eyeshadows that are in this size. But that being said, I might actually play around and rearrange some of this, because I don't really use these two shades ever. So this one I have to think about what I'm going to do with it. Next up we have the Sparkle Baby from Sugar Pill. I can already tell you this is not going anywhere because I do actually really love this palette. I love Kitten Parade, I love Candy Crush. Hotsy Totsy is pretty much the only hot pink matte eyeshadow that I have kept in my collection at this point, so she's not going anywhere either. Frostine I find a little bit difficult to work with, but that being said, it is a color that I can make work, and it works really well as an inner corner highlight, so I am definitely keeping Sparkle Baby from Sugar Pill. Now another palette from Sugar Pill that I'm not going to keep and finally going to declutter is the Edward Scissorhands palette. This eyeshadow palette has survived several rounds of declutter, and every time she makes it back into the final round of I'm gonna keep this because of purely sentimental reasons, because I love Tim Burton, I love 90s references, I love Sugar Pill, and I just absolutely love the packaging on this. Look at it, it is absolutely stunning. But I never use this eyeshadow palette because I don't like the color story. I don't like this blue shade. It is absolutely not one of the best matte blues out there. I was a bit disappointed with this shade. It's not as striking as it should be. It's supposed to be a like white with a bit of a blue duochrome to it, and when I swatch it I actually think, oh, this is a nice shade, but it's a bit powdery and it's just, I just don't like it. In the end of the day, I don't like it, I don't use it. Edward Scissorhands needs to go. It was a limited edition palette, so I'm hoping that someone will have it in their heart to take it over from me. Next up we have two palettes that I'm definitely not getting rid of. The first one is my Smoke Sessions palette from Melt Cosmetics. I absolutely adore this palette. This gold here is one of my favorite shades in my eyeshadow collection ever. This whole corner, stunning. I just never getting rid of this eyeshadow palette. Then the Sassy Siennas from Dose of Colors. I really love this little quintet of matte eyeshadows. I do use them a lot in combination with my singles, my Colourpop pot eyeshadows. This palette is definitely a keeper, she's staying as well. So this was rather easy as well. The only one that needs to go is, I don't know why I put it back. The only one that's going is Edward Scissorhands. Next I'm going to deal with a couple of eyeshadow palettes that are just lying around in random drawers. The first one is my Urban Decay Gwen Stefani eyeshadow palette. I sometimes reach for this palette. It's definitely not my favorite shadow palette in my collection and definitely not a palette that I use often, but I love everything about this collection. Like I said, 90s references, and especially, you know, Gwen Stefani, No Doubt. I used to listen to No Doubt in high school, and there's just no way that I can ever get rid of any of my Urban Decay Gwen Stefani collection items. So this one, my blush palette, the lipsticks, everything is staying. Now, an Urban Decay palette that I am actually thinking about decluttering is one that I really loved when I bought it. Okay, how are we gonna do this? Okay, I'm gonna do this so that it doesn't disturb you too much. But this is the Heavy Metals palette from Urban Decay. I think I'm going to try to get rid of this palette because the quality of these eyeshadows is really nice, and technically I do really like it, but in practice I never reach for it because I've substituted a lot of these colors with colors from other companies that I prefer. This whole neutral corner here can go because I have neutrals from Pat McGrath now that I would much rather go into than these. The colorful eyeshadows over here, same story. I have other colorful eyeshadows from other companies that I prefer. I'm gonna be a bit sad because this color amp is really gorgeous, but I can't keep this whole thing just for that one eyeshadow. Okay, this is a really hard one for me. This is the Metal Matte palette from Kat Von D. I freaking loved this palette when it came out. I couldn't shut up about it. I couldn't stop using it. I couldn't put it down. And I haven't used it in like... I did try using it last year, and I didn't like it, and I couldn't tell whether I didn't like it because I all of a sudden grew out of the eyeshadow formula or because I was so pissed at Kat Von D. So unfortunately, as much as I love this palette originally, I have fallen out of love with her, the owner of the brand that created her, and just, she has to go. Everything Kat Von D is going, so Metal Matte palette included. And this is the last little compartment where I have eyeshadow palettes, so we're going to go through them really quickly. I'm gonna start with this little trio from Shiseido that I keep keeping for sentimental reasons every time I declutter my eyeshadow palettes, but why, Mariam? Why? This is going. Alright, two eyeshadow palettes that I'm definitely not decluttering are my Enchanted Secrets from Linda Hallberg, not going anywhere. Same counts for my Just My Luck palette from Colourpop. I do really like this eyeshadow palette, and, you know, greens, a variety of greens, just, I cannot get rid of this palette, I love it. Let's deal with this little corner. Urban Decay. What was this again? Oh, I forgot, I forget the name of this eyeshadow palette every single freaking time. I want to say it's something with a eyeshadow box. I don't know, it's a really old eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay, and basically I've been keeping it around because of Graffiti and Peace, these two shades here. I think she's gonna go because I don't use her ever. She's a million years old. I only reach for this palette when I want these two shades, and I'm pretty sure I have other blues like this. This green may be quite unique to my collection, so I'm gonna think about what I will do with this green. Maybe I'll try to depot it, or I'll try to pan it or something. So for now she's going in the I will think about it file. Okay, next up we have two eyeshadow palettes here that I'm not going to get rid of. This is the Lunatic Labs Zombie Defense palette, which in theory I should declutter because I never go into it for any other reason than this green over here. I do really like the tone of this green. I don't have another green in my collection that has quite these tones to it. The reason I don't really like these eyeshadows is because they are extremely fragile. Every time you just think about putting your brush in them, they are already exploding. So that is the reason that I don't really like to go into this eyeshadow palette, but I don't have another green quite like Gangrene in my collection, so she's staying. This is the NYX Perfect Filter palette in Marine Layer. Very unassuming, drugstore, but I absolutely love it. This blue in particular, gosh darn, look at it. It's so pretty. The Naked Heat palette from Urban Decay is definitely staying. This is my favorite warm-toned smoky eyeshadow palette. I do really love it. This color here, the color Amber, is sublime. I love it. She's definitely staying. This is a random brow bone highlight color and two eyebrow colors from Inglot, so this can be put on the side because it's not even on the chopping block. Then we have the Kat Von D 10-year anniversary palette, which I used like 5 times before I decided that I cannot even look at it anymore because Kat Von D, so she's definitely going to be decluttered. Goodbye 10-year anniversary palette. Then we have the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics Meadow palette, which I'm definitely not going to declutter because I love the quality of these eyeshadows, I love the color story, I love everything about it. I really like Makeup Addiction Cosmetics. She's staying. My Darkroom palette from Stilati and Jordan Liberty is definitely staying. I need to play a lot more with this eyeshadow palette because it is a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. I love it. She's definitely staying. Then we have two eyeshadow palettes here from Too Faced, and I think I'm going to keep these for now, but I'm probably going to declutter them and give them away to family members because... Why is there a hair in here? Jesus Christ. I am going to keep the bonbons because I actually do like quite a lot of these like cool toned matte shades, and I do reach for it still. So this one's definitely gonna stay. The Sweet Peach palette, I went above and beyond to get this eyeshadow palette. So I think what I'm going to do with it is I am going to declutter it eventually, but I'm going to give it away to a family member that's going to get a lot of use out of it. So for now I'm going to keep it here, but she's definitely going to be eventually decluttered. Then I have my little Notoriously Morbid When the Wolfbane Blooms. This is definitely not going anywhere. These are absolutely gorgeous pressed Notoriously Morbid eyeshadows. This is a eyeshadow palette, well, actually a highlighter palette or like a multi-purpose palette from Notoriously Morbid. I really like to use this as an inner corner highlight because it has the most beautiful purple glow to it. Both of my Sugar Pill quads, so the Burning Heart and the Heartbreaker, they're both staying. The Sugar Pill Feline Fancy Collection, definitely staying. And then we have my two Urban Decay Electric palette, not going anywhere. I still love this, I reach for it all the time. My Moondust palette from Urban Decay, I have forgotten a little bit about her now that I have my toppers from Pat McGrath, but she's definitely not going anywhere because Light Year, I cannot live without Light Year, nor can I live without Elements, so they're both definitely staying. So guys, this is my declutter pile. I'm getting rid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 eyeshadow palettes. I don't have like a crap, well, I have a lot. I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes. I did not get rid of this much, but I think I got rid of the things that I'm pretty sure I can part ways with at this point. So yeah, this pretty much concludes the video. I hope you had fun. Thanks so much for watching. I hope I'll catch you in my next video. Bye!